This is QuietStormzzzSpeaks, and I'm here with another video, but I'm not even sure if this is one that will make it to my YouTube channel. I'm finding that doing these videos as I unpack thoughts and feelings and, different things that I go through every day, it's just therapy for me. As the layers of this onion is being peeled back and exposing who I am at my core. The day my soul just started to sort of come alive, and I'm on that journey. Although I've been on a healing journey for many years, I'm at a new area of healing. I'm at a new place in healing, and that is now revealing my soul and being honest and open to my soul's truth, which is just revealing who I truly am at my core, beneath all the layers, beneath all the masks that I've ever worn. So today, as I woke up and, my mind is just going through, the day and saying my prayers and meditating and just doing my praise and worship as I do in the morning to get my heart right, get the heart posture ready for the day. A memory came to mind, and as I've been unpacking, the core of my feelings of unworthiness that I used to harbor, there's still a core there, right? Feelings of unworthiness. And as you do a deeper dive into the truth of things, there's everything has a root, right? So sometimes I won't even say sometimes. I'm speaking for myself. So when I realize there's some levels of feelings of unworthiness within me, and or not feeling good enough, not feeling, having the best esteem for myself. When those moments happen, I need to do a deeper dive. So where did that originate? Again, everything has a root, and it originates from someplace. So as I've been really opening my soul and being honest about my soul's truth, today's thought was, how did I enter into the last marriage that I was into? So prior to dating my ex-spouse, I was dating my absolute best friend. He was who I thought was my soulmate. We had a whirlwind affair. It was beautiful. We loved each other so deeply. He was my absolute true best friend. And we would sit and have many conversations about, what each of us would do if the other ever passed away. Just things like that, And wow, that actually came true. I came home from work one day. I was working a midnight shift at a 911 call center in a suburb of Chicago. And as I arrived home about 7:30 a.m., I park on the side of the home, and my brother's standing outside with a look of worry on his face. And, I didn't think anything other than, okay, what's going on, but I didn't think it was, anything big. So as I got out of the car and I walked to him, I said, "Hey, what's up? You good?" And he was like, "No, dude, Darnell is dead." And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" He said, "Darnell died last night." I said, "What? How?" And he said, he was in a car accident or a motorcycle accident. Everybody knew Darnell was a daredevil, and he had this motorcycle that he'd drive crazy, through the neighborhood all the time. And so out of pure shock, my first response was, wow, that could have been me on the back of that motor easily. Because if I hadn't had to work, and the day before I went to work, I had my uniform on. I was ready to go to work, to leave for my midnight shift. And Darnell came by. And actually, I was working overtime, so I was leaving for a 7 p.m. shift. So this was about 5:30. He came by on the motorcycle, and he's like, hey, just, go around the block with me for a little bit, take a ride with me. So I got on the motorcycle, rode around the block, and of course, being Darnell, he went more than just a block. He went a few blocks, and I'm like, I gotta get back. I gotta go to work. I can't be late. So we finally get back home, and I left. And at this point, we weren't even dating. We were just friends, ebbs and flows of relationships, right? But we were still best friends. So, we said our goodbyes, and I left and went to work, didn't even think anything about it. So when my brother is now the next day telling me that he had got killed on this motorcycle in a motorcycle accident, my first thought was that would have easily been me, because Darnell tried to convince me to call in sick that day before and just go kick it with him. And as I was, working on really trying to be a little more mature, I had a kid to take care of. And, I'm just trying to be responsible for the career that I had and, just not be calling off sick to go kick it no more. We did plenty of that. We had a good run. We drove that thing till the wheels fell off and was still trying to drive it. But at this point, I'm like, no, you know what? I got to really work on being responsible. So for whatever reason, this time I told him no. And I'm grateful I did, but when I found out he had passed away, it just, like I said, initially I was in shock, but it brought me to a low place. Because I couldn't imagine my life without him. Although we weren't dating at the time, we both knew that at some point we were going to be married. That was just it. He wasn't ready. I wasn't ready, but we knew that at some point we were going to get back together and we would be married. And it was a done deal. Families knew it. Families were happy about it. They wished, obviously, that, we had decided to do that sooner, but it just wasn't our time. But it wasn't going to be our time, right? So as I am grieving him, then comes in my next, guy, who then became my husband. But he was there for me as I grieved. He even took me to the funeral home to view Darnell's body before the funeral so that I could just get out whatever I needed to get out. He let me spend the night at his house. That night, just away from the noise of everyone and everything. And I laid in his bed next to him, fully clothed that whole night, and I felt safe. He made me feel protected, and it was all well with me. And at that point, having had lost Darnell, this was the end of August. 3 weeks prior, my dad passed away. Actually, no, let me restate that. So this was around the 1st of August. So Darnell passed away around the 1st of August. My grandmother, Grammy, had passed away 2 weeks before Darnell passed away. So she passed away July 22nd. And she was my absolute best friend, so I was already numb from that. And then Darnell passed away, and I don't know that numb is even the word. It was just there. And so again, this guy comes into my life, and he's always been someone that I grew up with. He was actually my first boyfriend, my first love in grade school. Our families grew up next door to each other. Our families had 50 plus years of history with each other. So when he and I got together, it checked off all the boxes for the family. They were ecstatic. They were happy. They were saying things like, oh, we were family before we were family, because, you know, at this point we're engaged to be married. And so everybody's happy. And on paper, it looked really good. So as I am on this journey, here's the hindsight view of what that looked like. I was a 21-year-old girl, a single mother, a divorcee already. I just lost the two loves of my life, Darnell and my grandmother. And my daughter's dad, my first husband, was a danger to me. He was violent. He was a murderer. Yes, he did kill someone a few weeks before our daughter was born. And I was 18 at the time. So here I am carrying all this trauma. And here comes this guy to my rescue. He's the first person who ever dated me. He took me out on dates. I didn't know how that was. We would go to the lakefront and ride around, and then we'd go get ice cream. It'd be me and him. And then, you know, he was very open to bringing my daughter, Brittany, with us, who was about 2.5, 3 years old at the time. And he quickly became not only my hero, but Brittany's hero. There was a time where we had gone to his place for dinner because he cooked, and he invited both of us over. We had a nice evening, and then as we were leaving to cross the road he was walking me to my car, Brittany walked out into the street, and I didn't realize it, and he instantly reached out and grabbed her back. He literally saved her life from being hit because the car was just flying down the street. So he quickly became her hero, and then he quickly became mine. This was something I'd never experienced before. So we were dating, and then we're engaged, and as I'm looking for a new place to stay, it quickly turned into, well, let's just, move together since we're, getting engaged and we're going to be married anyway. So we started looking for places together, and then we found one. And the weekend that we were due to get ready to move in together, I got the news that my dad had passed away. He had been suffering from cancer for many years, and this was it. So that was another nail in the coffin, right? I quickly just went into a cocoon, and now I'm no longer existing or just there. I'm not numb. I think like my spirit died, to be honest with you, looking back. That's the hindsight view of that story. We moved in together, and it was just easier for me to just allow life to be what it was. Moving forward without too much emotion, too many feelings, too much of anything. And so the red flags that were there with this guy, it just didn't matter. I'd given up, I'd just given up. I didn't have hope. I didn't have people around me affirming me, saying, or even recognizing what had just happened. And you'll have to back up even further, because with those deaths, with my grandmother, Darnell, and then my dad, in that short period of time from July to August, Darnell died at the end of August, right? My other best friend, my childhood best friend, drowned. She had a seizure while she was taking a bath, and she was about 6 months pregnant. And this was December the year before. So that really jumped off everything. So 2011, um, 2011, I'm sorry. Wow, I'm completely wrong year. This is why I have holes in my memory, because I was just in this shock and trauma and grief for so many years. But um, gosh, I think it was even 1991 when Melanice had the seizure and drowned in a tub. And that was devastating. I remember just being in unbelief, disbelief. I couldn't believe it. And so December of 91 going into July of 92, actually, I'm sorry, 93, and then August of 93, all these devastating blows. So actually, now that I think about it, Melanice even passed away. It was December of 92. And then 93 was when my grandmother, my Darnell, and my dad passed away. Bam, 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 right? So again, I'm living in this cocoon of a shell. And I don't think anyone even realize what devastation I had experienced by all these deaths. I wasn't one that was ever really seen or heard. And so just like life had always been, I was just allowed to just go. And no one really saw the devastation of what was happening with me. So then that was a little bit of a backstory to today's message. As I was ready to marry this time, and I don't mention his name for our children's sake, but I remember my brother coming to him and asking him, "Are you sure you want to marry her? Because my sister's a bitch, man. She's a bitch." And, he was like, "Yeah, no, no, I love her. Of course I'm going to marry her, And I remember my brother even telling me that he had said that to him. But during that time in my life, I did walk around like that. I had this chip on my shoulder. I used to carry a card that said certified bitch. Like, that's the label I use to identify myself. First of all, because I was called that so many times. And the hindsight view of that is that bitch was hurt. I became hardened and I became what I said was an ice princess. My heart has ice around it. It was because I was deeply hurt by trauma, by every single experience that led me up to that point. And there's more, but that has happened, obviously to get me to that point. But this is just a snapshot of a moment in time. So, in hindsight now, as, marriage is very much something that's in my face, something that I do truly desire. And I go backwards to look at all the areas in which I made a mistake, in which I made choices and decisions that were detrimental to me, to clean up, to heal, and then to get to my soul's truth, to the core of who I am, to make sure that I don't make the same mistakes going forward. What I realize is that my brother gave my new soon-to-be husband his blessing, but very figuratively, he handed my hand into this man's hand and passed me off and gave me his blessing as, "You can have this bitch." And I accepted it at the time because that's what I thought my worth was. Those were seeds that he planted within me that I received from my older brother, who I thought was always my hero, who we've had our time, right? Growing up, my mom always made him the man of the house. In a lot of ways, he was her man, and then he was my disciplinarian, which I truly resented for many years. And there were other abuses that happened over the years. And here's this man now putting my hand into the hand of the man that I am to marry. And he says, here, you can have this bitch, basically. So that's the hindsight view. And that's the deeper root of that truth. And that's a hard pill to swallow. And, that's one of the things that honestly I thought I'd forgotten about. But as I've said, I've quoted Iyanla Van Zant for many years. And she said, things that are buried alive don't die, they fester. And they manifest in other areas and in other ways in your life. And so that is a root. That is something that I buried alive. And boy, did that shit manifest. But I am here for the healing. And I encourage everyone who's going through this healing journey that as you uncover your soul's truth and you find roots of things that are ugly, nasty, make you feel shameful, ashamed, jealous, whatever it is, whatever it looks like, as ugly as it gets, and it will get ugly. If you're doing some true healing work, it will get ugly. But I encourage you that no matter what you find, acknowledge it, accept it, and heal it. Because if it's buried alive, it won't die. It will fester within you. That is one root that I married with, that I had children with, little girls I raised with that root. A young man I raised with that root. And it manifested in their lives mostly, with the exception of my oldest daughter, who I went into the marriage with, and she understood her assignment here on earth, and that root never took place with her. Thank God for that. So there's more that I will unpack about that journey with her, my love, Brittany, who is now in heaven. And there's a beautiful story about her journey here on earth and her assignment that I now know and can be honest about with, sitting in a place of healing. But today's message is just about that one root that, again, manifested in other ways in my life. And so when, again, my brother handed me off as this bitch, I'd completely given up. And I lived the next 20 years just I didn't live. I was spiritually dead. I didn't see anything else to really live for, but, obviously I'm physically living, but spiritually, I died. And that was one of the nails in the coffin to my spiritual death. So as my spirit awakens and comes back alive, then the truth, every single truth that I ever buried, is rushing to the surface, and it is begging to be healed. So I invite you here on this journey of truth with me, this journey of my soul coming alive and I hope to only be a light in this dark world. I hope to be a lamp to your pathways as I share my truth. I pray that it invokes you and it starts you to share your own truths, as ugly as it can be, and not be afraid of it, and very courageously continue to persevere forward. Because once things are healed, every single layer that comes off of you and every single part of you that becomes healed, then you start to become a better version of yourself. So I leave you with this message in hopes that it is breadcrumbs for your journey. I choose to just be, again, a light, an inspiring beam of light. I coin myself as the Inspirationalist. That is what I am. And I go by the name of QuietStormzzzSpeaks. And I leave you with this message with the highest form of peace, and that is shalom. I wish you shalom on this healing journey. I wish you well on your healing journey. Keep journeying, people. Now let's keep getting this healing. I'm QuietStormzzzSpeaks.